speaking of recklessness about guns, I've been thinking about you, Cliff, because I actually did go to a shooting range.
When you think of recklessness about guns, you think of me?
I do. Because I think of you as a caped crusader fighting against that. I think of you as like like Shalom Man is here to fight reckless gun violence. I think of you as a Jewish superhero fighting gun violence. Nothing wrong with that. But let's get to this. You're involved actually with a new push on gun issues. I think everybody who listens to this show obviously knows that this is an incredibly important issue for you. And one of the reasons that I do think of you in that way is because this isn't a news cycle issue for you. The way it seems to be is we're in a holding pattern where something pops up. There's some sort of unbelievably horrific event that happens once a year that we just cover. Unbelievably horrific events are happening with guns on a daily basis in this country, sadly. Right. But you are in it day in and day out, and you have a new push on it, which involves Fighting or Die. And, and I know you just wanted to talk about it just briefly, and I wanted to as well, because we should never forget about these weapons of mass destruction that the arms industry is keeping on our streets without accountability. So, take it away, Cliff.
Well put, my friend. Yeah, that is true. And it's something, even when we're not talking about it, and I think a lot of people know this, there are efforts all over the place. Example being in West Virginia right now, even Joe Manchin, who used to be a guy A-rated with the NRA before he decided that we should, try to stop criminals and terrorists and people with mental illness from getting guns. I know that's very stringent requirements. And so he just came out again against what's going on in his home state in West Virginia, where they are trying to pass, they're trying to do, this is their newest push in many states, which is to try to get rid of all permitting and training to be able to carry a concealed weapon. So a couple of states already have this, Arizona, who else, Wyoming, I think Alaska may too, but so they're pushing this all over the place because even better than not having background checks is not having someone have to have a permit and being able to carry a gun almost anywhere. And that's the other thing they're pushing, right? Bars and kindergarten and whatever. So in any case, these things are going on in states because this is what they do, just kind of like they've assaulted, workers' rights in states and they've assaulted women's rights in states. This is another part of the ALEC strategy to do these things. So what I'm a part of is I'm doing work, PR work and strategy work with the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence. And there's a renewed push now for the Manchin-Toomey bill, the aforementioned one, which is very simply universal background checks. Nothing the slightest bit controversial. 90% of people support it in polls. Even you go to conservative rural states, like, for example, Arkansas, you get 83% support, not something that people are fighting over, just something that people that are bought off by the NRA are fighting over. And it works. Enough studies have been done in states that had them and got rid of them, like Missouri, where the murder rate went up 16% right after they got rid of it, and comparisons between states where there are background checks versus ones where there aren't. Another terrible statistic, which is I think it's 38% that women are more likely to be killed at the hands of a domestic partner in domestic abuse in states where there aren't background checks for guns. These are real differences, and so we're part of that push to try to shame, we got what one considers a majority in most places. 55 senators supported this in the past. Obviously, it's a much more conservative Senate and House, but this is something they should have to pay for if they're going to be crazy and oppose just common sense things like this. So what we did is reached out, work with the folks at Funny or Die, which people may know, the Adam McKay, Will Ferrell kind of crew. Adam McKay is a guy who writes and produces Will Ferrell's most of his really, really funny movies, Anchorman and Talladega Nights and Step Brothers and that kind of stuff. And they put together a video. And what we decided, after these terrible things happen, we obviously have to be very serious about this because, it really isn't what you call time for joking. But we figured, these people are so crazy on the other side that they're mock-worthy, and sometimes they really just need to be mocked. And now seem to be one of those times. So we're releasing a 50-state scorecard to explain to people what the laws are in each of the states, how they stack up against each other, where the safer laws are, places like where you guys are sitting in New York and California and Massachusetts, and where the crazier laws are, places like Arizona and Mississippi and Utah and Texas. And so, but we decided to do it in what we thought would be a funny and interesting way, which was to put a video together and have two criminals or actors playing criminals, bragging about all the states they go to for their friends, telling them which states are the best places to go if you're a criminal and you want to get a gun.
Right.
You know, and to emphasize that, when we did the 50-state report, we created an interactive website. You can find it at www.CrimAdvisor.com, as like Crime Advisor, but this is CrimAdvisor.com, and it actually is a sort of takeoff from TripAdvisor if you've been there.
Yes.
So you click on something, and we've got comments from quote-unquote criminals telling you how awesome that state is. You can get a gun. You don't need a permit. You don't need this or that. Or this state sucks. You know, I have to actually go through a background check here. And so, I mean, I'm not doing it justice because there's some really funny comments.
But Cliff, but just as we sort of circle this part up, first of all, we're going to link obviously to the video on the Majority Report homepage and a link to CrimAdvisor. And I just think, again, though, the really important takeaway from this, and every time we touch on guns, though, and another important thing that you bring to the table is it's an issue that's obviously very easy to get disheartened about, but actually the longer term demographics and trends really are in favor of some type of sanity on this issue, and it's something that we really need to keep pushing on because it's a public health crisis, it's a humanitarian crisis, potentially a security problem. I mean, there's no way in which it's a women's rights issue. There's everything you care about is implicated by this, and we can actually do something about it. So we'll definitely link to it, and it's a great project and a great new spin on this.